There lived a king in a small village, who had ruled his people with love, peace and harmony. He had his first wife who died during childbirth, and both mother and son died mysteriously. The shock of his wife's death made him remain unmarried for many years, after which he decided to take a second wife. He married his second wife who gave him a son. One day, the king was walking along the road with his guards. When he saw a little boy crying helplessly, he ran towards him to know what could be wrong. The boy narrated a sad story of how he lost his family after a serious war between his village and the neighboring village. The king felt for him and offered to help him. The king took him home and introduced him to his wife. "This is Jude. He lost his family after a war and I want him to live with us here," the king said to his wife. The wife happily accepted him and they lived together happily. The queen treated him with so much love and care and never discriminated him from her little son Mike. Many years later, Jude grew into a full-grown man and the king was happy. Seeing him grow before his eyes made him feel really good. The king became worried he might join his ancestors soon. His son Mike is still tender and can't take over the throne as little as he is. He then decided to hand over the throne to Jude. He called his wife to discuss this with her. The queen wasn't comfortable with the idea but have no other option. The king called Jude to discuss this with him. Jude accepted and promised to hand over the throne to Mike once he's of age. 13 months later, the king died. Everyone cried and they had him buried. After the king's demise, Jude took over the throne and was crowned king. He got married and had 3 sons. Many years later, Mike grew up into a full-grown man. His mother advised he should take over what rightfully belonged to him. Since he is now grown, it's time he take over his father's throne. Mike met Jude, the king, and said to him, "I appreciate you for keeping my father's promise, but I think it's time I take over the throne as agreed with my late father." The king, he said calmly. Jude agreed to do as he said, but deep down he swore never to hand the throne to Mike. He began to think of how to stop Mike. He then planned with some men to get Mike locked up. Mike was taken away by those men in the middle of the night. They locked him up as instructed by Jude. The queen, Mike's mother, confronted Jude angrily for locking up her son. Jude instructed those men to take the queen away and have her killed. They did as instructed. Now the queen is dead, and her son has been locked up. "I will rule as long as I want it and my children will take over for me," Jude proudly said. 3 years later, Jude's last son died after a brief illness. Jude cried and his entire family cried deeply and had him buried. Few months after his death, Jude fell sick. Jude was still on his sickbed when his first son died mysteriously. Jude got worried. He knew his actions were behind the death of his sons. He called his first and only remaining son. He confessed to him and asked him to go get Mike released, and then bring him to him so that he can apologize to him. The next morning, Jude's son went and got Mike released. Jude apologized to him. After the apology that evening, Jude gave up the ghost. Few months later Jude was buried and Mike was made the king. Mike got married and lived with his wife happily.